Okay, here we go again. We're going to do a basic video here to show my everyday basic workflow from a photo shoot where the images are already backed up. Of course, the job is done, photograph that is, and now it's in the computer. What do we do with it? How do we select our images? How do we tag them? How do we process them? What are we going to deliver? How many? These types of things. So let's take a look here, and we're going to work from within Bridge and Photoshop, and you'll see kind of from beginning to end once you've got a job shot and backed up and you're ready to deliver images. So here we go. So we're going to start off in Bridge, and I'm going to open the job, and you'll see my folder here called Captures. Okay, Captures are my raw images. From which we'll select the best images. So I choose a folder called Best, and that's where I will drop my captures that I select as the images that I want to work from and deliver. So let's open the Captures folder, and you can see that I shot that on a, well, it doesn't tell you it's a 5D Mark III, but that's what it is. So at least you'll know what you're looking at. This is a collection of images shot both journalistically, following a video crew, to me doing some basic lighting, balancing light outside. So let's take a look and see what my general workflow would be. So I'm going to start here. I know this was a test image, supposed to be a vertical shot. So we're going to start here. And I'm going to take a look. This is our main person. This is really all I'm concerned with. The video crew was shooting this interview in this restaurant with this gentleman interviewing the restaurant owner, and the key person for our purposes is this person. He's a TV personality. I'm going to go through and select images. I'm going to use my arrow keys to go through and look, and I'm going to find images that I think would be usable images. And I'm just going to start tagging these images. And I'm on this PC, I'm hitting Control 6 to make them red. Okay, and I'm going to go through and take a look here. And I'm watching things. I caught this later. This is the video crew's lighting. A little bit hot for me. We can tone that down, of course. But I'm also watching this, and I know later on I asked them to make some changes for me. So again, mainly I'm looking at this person's face. So we'll tag that for now. We probably won't use it because I know I changed it. We shot the actual interview here, and so you're going to see there's all these little subtle nuances of shots that may or may not be usable, and the ones that get closer towards the end, you can see I had him put his hand down here. Lightings kind of remain the same. I don't have any hand gestures or hand motion you can see here, but I'll tag it. Watching his eyes. Okay. Again, it's probably better to have a little movement, but for now we're just doing a rough selection of images that I think might be usable, but also still maintain him having a good expression and decent, mouth position so it doesn't look weird. Okay, overall, anything that I think would be usable. Okay, sometimes I go back and forth and watch subtle nuances. And in this set, I think one of the downsides with the Canon 5D and lower is easy to not watch your fingers touching buttons on the back of the camera. And you can see I went from a 50th of a second at f4, you see I'm at 1600, where I should be is 1/60th of a second. And so of course these were way overexposed in just a short set, maybe 10 or 15 frames before I caught it. But your finger bumps the little wheels and so on and so on, and so you got to keep watching that. So we're going to take a look here. overall, for the most part, whatever's useful. I'm going to untag that one because I see is something I don't like in there. Okay. And again, I'm just kind of making a roughed out selection of images that I think are usable, or at least the most usable ones. Okay. Might be a little funny expression, but we'll keep it for now. Okay. Again, a little bit funny, maybe over the top. They were having fun over there, but in fact, I think that eye's a little too funny for me. And with magazine stuff, they don't always want the people looking at the camera or even pose. Sometimes they want things very journalistic. You can see a little perspective change there. I'm on a little step ladder. And what the video crew had for lighting for their video was a Kino Flow that was at 5,000K approximately. And so they allowed me to use their lighting, which was very minimal, but it worked. And you can see now that I moved around opposite the side of the lighting, of course, we get much more dramatic. And I did a few of these, not a lot. I'm probably going to use the other angle, or maybe the lighting as I moved it around. Okay. Again, we won't use all these. I'm just going to do a quick rough out of the images that are possible to be able to be used. And I'm mainly watching his face and expression, trying to get nice eyes. Maybe a little hand movement here is not a bad idea. Okay, the laugh is good. Okay, if it were a portrait, you might say no, that may not be so good. Okay, but I'm going to look at all these laughs. But having said that, we're going to throw a few of these laughs in because I think it's possible that, and I'm going to go there. That'll be the last one. So in between sets, I was also waiting for powder to be done. So I shot a couple of available light food shots. These were basically props on the table, of which they don't need, but since I shot it while it was there, you can see an exposure change. I'm going to pick a couple. Some nice stock photos. Always thinking about stock things or things that are available to use as stock. Okay, let's see. Only thing sharp there is the bubbles on the beer. Of course, if you're a beer drinker, it's the most important thing, right? And you can see I opened up also. I think I'll take the closed down exposures. Easier to work with. We don't need too many of these because they don't need these. These are just for me. Go with the beer straighter, and here we go. Okay, let's take a look here. See, this particular series of shots is mainly just for an inside piece. You can see there was a light change. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're going to go back and not do these. These were exposure tests. It's not bad. It's not really, there's no movement or motion, which I think is not good. Somewhere in here, I adjusted the exposure for him by feathering the light. And sometimes on these shoots where there's video crews, I do get to luck out a little bit and use some of the existing lighting. and not have to set up a lot of things. And he's looking down at the lettuce there, but I like it. You can see what I'm doing, watching for subtle changes in expression. Go weird on the hand. Talking, though, it shows some kind of motion. I'm going to give him options. I do like his chin up there, better on the eyes. So less hand, more hand, at least that makes sense what it is. The other one's not sure what that is. Okay, better on the eyes. This is a pretty good perspective from just below the table. A little too much on the hand. Too much, there's a little bit of movement. So we shot this live, meaning for real, as it happened. And then we posed a few. Always a good idea. Mainly because you can get a more sure facial expression and mouth position. You can see I feathered the light off of him. He's not as bright. I shot things both the way they had it set and made some adjustments myself. Let's see, we made some adjustments here somewhere, and I think that's coming up. Okay, it's not sure, it's not bad. If you don't spend too much time on deciding on the rough cut of images here, just go through and get a selection that could work. And from there, when you have a rough out selection, then you get a little more critical. You can see, watch just the mouth and the eyes. It's more pleasant. It's real hard to photograph people in action while they talk and get something favorable. A lot of times it's something with the eyes or something with the mouth that generally is a little bit weird. So you usually got to shoot a little bit more when you're shooting something happening live. Eyes are better. It's not bad. And you can see I have vertical and horizontal. As the magazine was not sure, there you can see I made an adjustment there. The magazine was not sure how they were going to use it and where. It'll be a front cover for sure, not necessarily this shot, this series, but there will be a front cover of the stuff we shot, and there'll be a double page spread in the middle of the magazine, maybe one big one, the rest probably collaged. We don't need a ton of everything. This was just a little freebie shot right at the end that I did for the business owner. We just put him in front of a window. It was real dark in there. There's no time to light anything. But I'll pick one or two that work. Alright, that's fine. One of the main cover shots is this speaking one. Because it's actually live happening. Hard to do that while someone is speaking and get a good frame. We had to leave for the layout of the magazine, the title and text all down here, and put him in just the right spot. I have a pretty good idea of what the client is looking for, and it's not looking at the camera. And we'll check the ones that are more possible to be a cover shot more closely. That isn't going to be one, but she might like it. I love the laughing shot, but, and again, watching the eyes. Okay, this might be the first set of possible finals, so that these first ones might not be, those might be our test series, because this looks better. You see I tagged it red and 5 stars. It's probably almost for sure. Yeah, so those first, probably 5 there are definitely not it. I might even go back and untag those. Watching his fingers. Kind of have a pet peeve. Of course, now we got an airplane in the scene. Got a little bit of a pet peeve about fingers getting cut off. It's better. It's still usable. Don't like the fist. And we did pose this. That's not a shot. That was a test frame. Okay, again, second series. Right on the edge with the hand. Right on the edge of the frame. Could work. Better. It's a big over-the-top smile, squinty, but it might work. Same here. Real over-the-top. Okay. Probably not going from there. Alright, so you can see along here all of my testing until we get to here. And then I think there's even an exposure change right there. So probably we'll start where I see the final exposure change. And actually that wasn't it. Let's see. Yep, we went from 100 to 125. You can see all these details are important, so I'm watching all of these details. And we're going to unstar that one. Oops. Just hit Control 0. There's better eyes. This is really good. That's probably, and again, these could be cover shots also. This is a secondary shot we did. Both of these are done with a little portable. You can see him take a breath there and let it out. Looks more relaxed. Kind of like that direction best. It's okay. I like the head, but I think it works better. Now we tried a few here with hands. Didn't work as well. He's standing on a little about 4-inch railing, leaning on this bridge up above our head, and not very relaxed. Looks a little stiff to me. I may give them a few, but I don't think, to me it looks like he's trying to hold on, and he is. It's kind of up on the eyebrows. These are okay, not great. They look a little stiff to me. But we are going to give them to him. A little too much on the mouth. Better expression, but big, full, little squinty. Fingers again. Okay, these shots probably will not get used. These will probably be hero shots for them. That'll be one of the few posed ones. Then you can see where we did this horizontal camera right third thing, watching the exposure. Trying to see where we stopped or made changes. So these, you can see there's some funny angles going on. I'm going to guess she's going to like the straighter angles more so. We did some talking ones here. I'm going to find out where we made our... Okay, so let's start from the end. Big smile, I like it. She's looking, I'm sure, for a little more eyes. And you can see when he's laughing that I gotta keep his chin down or we get the reflection in the eyes. Just leaning in, a little more relaxed. It's okay. A little over the top, but we're gonna give it to her. A little weird, no. Maybe. Too much, too much. Really over the top. A little much, yeah, a little much. A little more reserved, probably better. And this is happening live, thus all the little tiny nuances going on. Trying to watch everything going on. Okay, no. I like it for some reason. I'm not sure. That's closer to what she's looking for. I like it, but maybe a little bit too feminine, I think.
Oh, good. Yeah, you probably got a little something.
Might be a few right in here.
Started a huge motorcycle rally and convention because there was protest.
Okay, so now I'm going to come over here and use our filters and select all the red. We have 134 images out of 414. Just going to take a quick gander here and make sure the overall collection I think is fine. So now we're going to select the first one, hit Control A to select them all. I'm going to scroll up so I can see my IPTC core. Go up here to to Tools, drop down to a previously created metadata basics. Click on it. It'll take those 134 images. You'll see the progress bar going on down here and fill in just some basic information for the file. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to go ahead and call this what it is. So it's going to be Rob on the road, comma, space, Sacramento convention and visitors. Just making sure I spell it all right. Bureau, right? Bureau. And then my date, which is my filing system, 01 10 14. So that tells me we shot it yesterday. Okay, and I'm going to hit Control A, Control C. I'm going to add that in the beginning of the key wording and hit Control V, comma, space, and down here the little check mark will apply it. You'll see the progress bar down here moving, and that'll apply it to all the images I'm concerned with. That's done. Real important that you have all this information from the get-go on your images, both for web search, Google search, your own website, search bars, all sorts of things to keep things organized. So now we're going to right click and let's see if there's a copy to, if we already have it set up, and we don't, so we'll go ahead and hit copy. We'll go back here to the main folder, to best, and right click paste, and we're going to paste and work from just within that folder alone with no other images. We'll tobog us down and just for simplicity. Only takes a couple of seconds. As soon as that's done, we will open these images in Camera Raw, and we will do a rough adjustment and get them ready for proofing. It's almost done now. And let's see, here we go. It's almost finished. And let's go ahead and open this file. It's going to open all the images in Bridge, of course, and we'll hit Control A, select them all, right click, open in Camera Raw. So some shoots I have minimal or no adjustments or flexibility on lighting and things, so you have to choose the right location, even that much more important. When it came to shooting this set, which was intended to be journalistic, meaning no fussing, not much to do, you got to choose the right spot in the restaurant. It's a real dark restaurant, so that meant right off the bat if I was going to use their lighting, which was a fluorescent bank of lights, that I had to shoot high ISO and a little slower shutter speed so that I could make sure to get room light in the background. And main thing, even though these are at real customers back in here, as long as they're out of focus and they're in a public place, obviously, then it's okay to show them. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look and see. It's a lot of big raw images. Let's get down to the end of that lighting. Okay. And this will also be where I check details. And I know this will be a little bit longer video, somewhat dry, but this is the fundamental stuff that is real critical and worthwhile to watch after almost 21 years of doing this, and I don't know, it's been 12 or 13 years now digital. It's worth learning from what I know works from a commercial standpoint, advertising, magazine standpoint. So you can see it's taking a little while to load, and I have a pretty beefy computer, and so if you have, you may not want to open, almost 140 images in Camera Raw. If you don't have a beefy computer like this, it could take 15 or 20 minutes. And I got a pretty beefy graphics card, which helps also. Okay, so here's the end of this series of shots. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift click. Okay, now all of the images back to this first one are shot, which I know are shot under similar lighting. We're going to come over here and let's take a look and see a couple of ways you could do things here. If you did on the color management here, you could hit auto and it's going to make its own recommendation. Okay, not so good. You could hit fluorescent, and because he had a 5000K, then obviously that's still not so good. Let's go back to as shot, and let's take a look and see on our color temperature. My guess is let's take the red down a little bit, and let's dial back in and see how far we have to go to get before we start losing weird color. So let's go 3400. Let's go minus 15. Okay, we'll start there. Color's not great yet. I'm going to go minus 10 on the blacks. We're going to go 10 on the whites, 10 on the shadows, and we're going to go clarity. We're going to add 10 on the clarity, not too much. Come into our tone curve, and we're going to go 20, 20, 10. Leave the highlights alone. I'm going to zoom at 100% on my main guy, which is 100 times bigger than they're ever going to look at it, so I can see the pixel and the noise and see how far I need to go. I'm going to start with 75 and go off and on. Definitely sharpens it well, adds some noise. Let's come in here and add just a little bit of noise reduction. Watch in here. And let's go off and on. I think it does rather well. And we could even add just a little more. Watch the eyes. You don't want the eyes to get soft. Definitely deals with the noise area better. Okay, that's not bad. I think we're going to leave it at 15. And I think we're going to take the color noise up just a little bit, meaning get rid of some of it rather, right in here. Did you see that? Okay, watch this again. The area you're going to be watching is in here, and you'll see it bring out the color noise for a minute, right? And nope, it happened fast that time. It's all gone. Okay. And so good, you want to do this from a minimal standpoint. Look at it at 50. You have to do it at 100 if you're going to actually see the reality of what it's doing, but that looks really good. Okay, so now we'll put that back to fit to view. Okay, we're going to go over here to HSL grayscale and the luminance. And let's take a look and see. Take your yellow luminance slider and let's see what it affects. Not just the burger, it also does the room back in there, which is unfortunate because I would want to take it down just a little bit, but it's going to also affect our room. So let's watch the burgers. Yeah, just take the edge off it a little bit. If you do the orange, it's going to deal with skin tones, okay, and the room. Okay, we don't want to get too goofy in there. Let's take a look at the blues, which sometimes deals with highlights and whites. Let's see what it affects his shirt, the pictures, the guy's shirt in the background. Okay, not necessary. Okay, let's take a look and see. Adds a little bit of zip to the lettuce. Avocado, I like it. I'm going to add 25 there. See if the aquas capture anything. That doesn't affect the guy's shirt as much, but brings up the blue in the background, so let's do it. Blue of the pictures, that is. And let's take a look. So that deals with shirt, whites of the eyes, and the hair right in here. Okay, we'll add a little bit. And magenta. That's going to deal with lips. We're going to leave those alone. Should deal with red in the face. So if someone has some skin issues, you could do a little bit without getting too crazy. Alright, so now let's go in here and see what we have. So I think we saturate things just a little bit. I know that who this is being shot for likes saturation. I'm going to take down the blue just a hint so I don't get too crazy in here. We'll take a little bit of that away, and that's not bad. Okay, let's see. It's just enough to add some flavor. Go back to luminance. Just enough. And you know what I will do? I'm going to come up in here in the orange for a minute, take out just a few points. Same with the red. Let's go back to the main window. Okay. So we started here, real kind of ruddy orangey color, which is good, meaning now. And why aren't we selected here for some reason? What's going on? Okay, I see we missed these. Let's go ahead and hit synchronize with local adjustments to catch these up to where we're supposed to be. Okay. Alright, so now let's go in and let's bring the overall exposure up maybe 0.15. And if I take it up 0.25, we're going to watch highlights. If you're worried about that, click your highlight clipping. And you can see the only real clipping going on now is those lights, so we're nowhere near a problem. And shadow clipping, okay, which is perfectly fine. There's a little clipping in the highlight of his eye. Okay, that's all perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and take the highlights down just a little bit. Okay, not bad. And I think what we're going to do is, I think we're going to bump up the shadows and the darks. And you open them a little bit more. Thinking about printing purposes. Okay, we have no issues there going on. Let's turn all that off. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, having said that, I think we're looking pretty good overall. I don't see anything weird going on. Might want to add just a little more blacks to make it richer. And I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, I don't see anything weird. Let's check our processing parameters here. It'll be RGB 1998, 8-bit for what we're doing is fine. Everything else is normal, no sharpening. Hit OK. And now let's look image by image here. This first set, my only concern here with this first set is the hand. I like the shots, but I'm not sure I like them so much that that big hand right there is not so good. So where does he put the hand down? There. So I think what we're going to do is take these first images, and I think we're going to untag them so I remember that I'm not so hip on that big old bright hand right in the middle of the frame. And let's take a look in here and see. Very similar. Okay. Tell you what, let's go. You can see as a rule of thumb, it's kind of a push and pull process. You know, you're going to push this particular control this way a little bit, push that one the other way a little bit. Let's go back to HSL grayscale, and let's take the orange down. Okay, let's take it down a little bit more. Might have some flexibility now. Okay, watching the skin tones. Tell you what, I don't like that lady sitting up in the background back there, so she's out of here. She just got cut. Okay. Now let's look at exposure change here. Definitely changes. So let's take this shot and let's adjust this a little bit. So we got one of two options. We could take the overall down, or we could try the highlights just a little bit. Make sure that we're still good. And I think we are. Okay. And I think we'll go down 5 there, make it a little more neutral. So I think these are fine now. Okay, I think we're going to leave those there. Now let's take a look. Every time you change composition, things change with color, temperature, to you name it, they change. Okay, and overall, I think this is pretty good. I don't see anything major there that we need to concern ourselves with. That's fine. And I do check as I go, make sure that the settings are all maintained. Okay. Let me look at one of these in here closer with the face. Takes a second to look sharp. There we go. So it's only when he turns. I think overall, though, those look just fine. So we're going to go past those to this set. This set was kind of back side lit. And let's take a look at what we have to do here. I kind of like the blowout in the windows. And so I think what we'll do, we're going to leave it contrasty. Okay. And I think we're going to open us just a little bit more. Just going to make it a little more flat, so probably need to add a little black. Okay, which is fairly rich. Okay, I think what we're going to do is blacks, whites, all of that looks pretty good. Let's take our highlights down just a little bit. Okay, so we're a little more balanced. And let's take a look. Okay, that's pretty good. Overall, I think that looks just fine. Let's make sure that last frame had not changed. And I like it. I think it's a little too weird on his eyes, so we're going to get rid of that one. And it's okay. He's laughing. A little reserved. It's pretty safe. Again, these just are what they are. They're not probably anything but an inside shot. All right, let's grab our food. They don't need this, but I do. And let's take a quick look here. Okay, get up here. And let's take this down to maybe 2850. And that's definitely better. Let's take our clarity up. Let's see some detail here. And same with the blacks. Let's get a little more definition. And let's see what this at 15 is. That's better. Okay. And I think what we could do here is we could add a little bit of vibrance, add a little flavor to things. I'm not going to use the saturation, just a little vibrance. Okay, it's nice. Don't see anything else weird. Okay, and I think overall, let's take a look at this orange. We could probably bring our French fries down a little bit. Too much, maybe. It's better. And let's take a look at the blue, which will deal with the plate so that it's not totally gone. Let's get rid of the saturation, the blue in there though. Now the plates are more white. And the rest of this. So greens, reds. Okay, I think we can, oh, that's not what I meant to do. Go to the saturation and let's put red back in things. Okay, which I think is fine. Same thing with the orange. Okay, yellow we can keep the same. Okay, I think overall that's probably fine. I'd say it makes a pretty significant difference. And I think we're going to leave it right there. Now let's just look at exposure for each one of these. So it's down a little bit. You can see switching from horizontal to vertical took the exposure down a little bit. Oops, go back. Okay, let's go to our beer shot. Seeing that this is a burger and beer place, we better make sure it looks good. Okay, and we're going to open up that scene a little bit and give us a little more zip. And I think that's looking pretty good right there. Now if you happen to want to see a little texture here, we could get rid of this exposure, get rid of the contrast, we go into clarity with a little tiny, let's see, if we go, nope, I'm in the wrong tool. No wonder it looked weird. Okay, let's go 50 on the clarity. How big's that brush? That's pretty good. Let's just go ahead now and brush a little more clarity and oomph across the top edge of that glass and the foam. Let's make it come in a little bit more. Works real nice. Okay, just enough to make it look real without making it look like you did something to it, and without affecting the pixels too much. Just enough to bring those things out, the bubbles. Okay, good. Let's take a look here. This exposure's okay, but let's go back in here. Let's do the same thing we just did on that one over here. Open up those other tones. I think everything else is fine. Let's move on. Now, let's take the lighting of this particular series. Okay, there's quite a bit right in there. I think overall that looks pretty good. Don't see anything weird. Those all look okay. What's the black on? 15. So if we open up things a little bit, got to think about keeping things open for printing, or when they print, they're gonna, excuse me, gain too much. You know, I had a little thing on his shoulder here. I'm not on a tripod, so it's moving. So you'd have to do each of these by hand, which if you're going to do that, it's under spot removal. And you'd simply just click there and get rid of it. Double check it. It's fine. So if you were going to do it, you got to do it to all of them by hand, because he's moving frame by frame, but it's a little bit obvious, and so I don't like it. So if I'm going to do it, we're just going to take a second and do it. Won't take very long. It'll do a nice job on its own. But you got to do it on all of them so it stays consistent. Can't see it there, just it's in a weird spot. I'm not going to touch it up there. Not going to touch it up there. And that one shows a little bit. It's real close to the collar though. Let's see what it chooses. That's okay, I guess. Alright, so that first set we'll go ahead and do anyways. Doesn't show enough there to bother me. Nope. 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 I think just going to a lower angle seemed to get rid of it. But I'm also watching the exposure on our subject's face from this lower angle. I think we better look at that. I think it's a little bit much. Let's actually go into HSL grayscale. Let's take this down just a little bit. That's probably just enough to take the edge off. Let's leave it. Okay, so those are done. So what I might do here, tell you what, let's start the processing of what is done, ready to go. Let me get rid of any images that we had unchecked. So I think there was just a few, which was just at the beginning. And that's accurate. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and hit save. Wants to know where you're going. This particular folder is already backed up, but I'm working from the desktop folder. Oops. And I'm going to right click, create a folder called 8-bit TIFF. The reason I do that is I work in 16-bit a lot, and I need to remember what it is. So here we are in the 8-bit TIFF folder. I'm going to go TIFF. We'll leave it. We're going to get rid of this LZW, put it at no compression. 8-bit, 300 DPI. You always got to check that. Okay, and hit save. You're going to see the progress bar. There's 54 images going on there. All right, let's take a look at this other set that's a little more wide, And let's see what we've got. So it goes down to here. They should be close. We're going to take this down. Okay. Let's go over here. Let's take this down. Good. I think it needs blacks. Does. And maybe even, let's see, it might need a little more clarity, it looks like to me. That's better. Okay, and let's stay in just the shadows maybe. Let's see. And let's go back into HSL grayscale. Let's go down just a little more on his face. It may just be this shot, I'm not sure. Let's make sure. Go to these vertical ones. No, it's over just a little bit. So let's cut this down and wiggle somewhere else. Okay, that's better. So what we'll do is we'll just open up a little more elsewhere. Yeah, that's fine. Those are nice. So I think let's try and duplicate what we just did. All of these, hit synchronize, all local adjustments. Let's see what it does up here too. This was a test shot, but I kind of liked it while we were shooting. And so it's good. I won't wait for things to get sharp. Making sure here. Okay, I think overall it's fine. There's a couple of things I'm looking at here that I'm not sure I'm 100% liking. Okay, so I think overall, yeah, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. What about, let's get rid of the exposure for a minute. I think that's it. On that series, I just don't like it too much gone. That's more natural. Okay, that's better. Let's take a look at the same thing on this last set. Kind of has that same look. Put it back to its normal exposure. Yeah, it's better. Okay, let's go to the fancy snapshot of Rob and the business owner. And we're just going to leave it just about, let's go here. Nope, let's go up here. It's actually pretty good, just how it is, I think. Let's get rid of all the red. Add a little back in there. Let's go clarity. Let's go 15. 15. Open up the shadows. Take down the highlights. Okay, we'll get fairly substantial in here with those. Again, we're going to look close here at 100%. Let's make sure what we have. Start off with 75. Okay, we're going to go 15 and 35. And let's let it do its thing. All the color noise went away. Perfect. Look at it at 50. Just make sure it looks good. It does. We're in good shape there. Okay, fit view. I don't crop when processing because then you're working on the full image and you never have any trouble. If you crop while you're processing, unless you know for sure that you're going to use it in that fashion, you're killing all these pixels that you may or may not need. And so I think in the long run it's better to not crop while you're processing so that you have, okay, so we're going to kill his shirt just a little bit, so that you have all the information that is necessary to work with. Okay, I think the rest of these are fine. We're not going to mess too much with this image. Okay, and it might even be able to go down a few points, and that's not bad, so we're going to leave those there. Should all be synced anyways. It's done. Okay, so we had processed through where? I think through here. Normally I tag it, so I would put a little tag there reminding me that that's where I left off on processing. Let's grab these, start the processing. Same place. Come back here again. We'll just put a little star there. Now let's go here to this set, and you'll see the composition change. His head's in a different position, so I know that this first little set's probably not the final, but we're going to keep it anyways. And let's take a look. Overall, it's pretty darn good right out of the camera. Let's add just a little clarity to it. Let's add a little black, punch up the whites a little bit, open the shadows a little bit, take down the highlights just a little bit. Overall color I think is pretty darn good. And let's go, I think what we'll do is we just open things just a little, doesn't need much. So like I said, most of the time I find it's kind of a push and pull. You push it here and you know that you're going to pull it somewhere else. Let's look up in here. Okay. At focus or sharpness. Okay. All right, I think that does it. We don't gain a lot of noise out here. That's perfect. Fit view. All right. Now the good thing about here is they really like color. So we're going to take this sky down quite a bit. And we're going to make sure the sky is nice and punchy. Okay, so I already know they're going to like that. You can see how effective HSL grayscale is now. Back to luminance. Okay, very nice. Let's see if we get lucky and if any of the color channels hit our capital. Yep, look at that. Okay, yellow brings it in rather nicely. Okay, of which I also want to take out a little, because if I take it down, I want to make sure it stays white and not go yellow. And overall on the skin, we haven't done anything with the skin exposure yet, so let's take the skin down just a little. Maybe just a little bit on the orange saturation. Let's take a look at the green. I think we can add a little bit of something in back in here, and I think we're going to because it adds some nice flavor. And let's see what it does here. And I think we'll choose a happy medium for both of these and not get too crazy. Okay, I think overall that's pretty good. And let's take a look at the saturation. I think that's all fine. Alright, so having said that, I don't think we need much anywhere. We don't. It's real nice. Okay. I don't think we're going to touch much of anything else. I think it's real nice. With the exception of, where do we start touching face on vibrance? Way up there. So I think we're going to add just a little vibrance to this, because it doesn't really touch Doesn't really touch his skin too much. Okay, I think those looks nice. Now, having said that, let's just make sure we have everything set. Those are fine, 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 fine. You could check this. I already see the histogram looks pretty good. No clipping other than in dead shadows. No clipping anywhere to be seen. Okay. But we're going to start from back here because I know these were our final shots. I think that all looks excellent. Let's grab them all. Let's go ahead and process, check our settings. Okay, it's always best to double check. Okay, and let's now go here. Exposure change somewhere. We'll double check that in a minute, and we'll do each set independently. And let's go. Definitely very red before. Again, let's take our blacks, take a little clarity, punch up the whites, shadows just a hint, highlights down a hint. Go just a hint, a hint, a hint. Good. If we didn't have a good exposure to begin with in the camera, or should I say capture, you wouldn't have this much flexibility. Sharp, again, we're going to do very minimal on these. I know that they're shot on lower ISO, and let's check it. Perfect, we don't gain any noise. Let's check it at 50. We kind of have a normal workflow of things that I do as a whole. Alright, so now let's take a look in here. Everything's going to affect everything. Let's take a look at our yellow. Doesn't really touch his skin. Does do his teeth though. So, having said that, let's look at closer. So I'm watching teeth, yellow, and yellow. Okay, it definitely affects everything, but I think that we could take it up a little bit, just give us a little more oomph. Yeah, that's fine. Let's take a look now. The orange is going to deal with his skin tones, but it also deals with things there. Let's take it up just a few points. And I don't think green is going to affect a whole lot. It does, it's in the tones of the shadow. Okay, let's take it up a little bit. Let's take a look at blue. Obviously his shirt, and you know, the downside is the sky, it affects. But I think what we're going to do is take it down just a little. Okay, and I think we'll leave all of that there. Let's go 5 and 5 and blue. Let's take it up just a little bit, which will be fine. Let's see what it's doing. And makes him stand out a little bit more. You see that, right? Okay, in the face, that is. Okay, and we might even be able to get rid of some of that green. Or enhance it. I think enhanced looks better. Alright, let's go back here to our main frame. Let's take our overall exposure up 0.15. I think that looks nice. What if we add just a little more black? That's better. So we go from here to here. And let's look a little closer and make sure. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now let's take a look at vibrance and see if where it affects the skin. Not too much. We add just a hint. That's enough to add a little flavor. I know the client likes it real vibrant. Okay, I think overall that's pretty decent. Let's check a different color temperature and see. I don't want his skin to be orange. Okay, I think that's better. Alright, let's go back up now. We're almost done. Kind of hang in there with me if you can. And let's just take a look here and see if there's anything weird about any of this stuff that we need to deal with. So a few talking ones. Did we change exposure at all? Maybe a hint right there, didn't we? But it's still okay. I think what we'll do is take these talking ones, and all we're going to do is go take it down a notch. Okay, these are all fine. Okay. Alright, where did we leave off here? Let's go ahead and grab these. And let's get them processing. Everything's the same. Okay, now we're going to start with these horizontal ones. What we might get lucky with is, let's grab this last one and this whole set of horizontals, even though the light's changing, and let's sync these things together and see how it does on all these images. We could get lucky and it gets us close. And we'll unselect that one. There. Okay. Yeah, that really is not bad. Now, I don't really like this thing down here. Probably better in Photoshop, but you might be able to deal with that here. All right, let's take a look at this overall scene. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty good. Do we need to make any adjustments? Maybe not. 15 and 15, our light's changing. Okay. Try to hang with me if you can. I know this is a long one. On a job like this, if I wasn't doing the video, I'd probably do this in about 15 or 20 minutes to have images ready to go. I don't mean retouched or anything. I just mean ready to, best images selected, overall settings done, images saved as full frame uncropped 8-bit TIFF files. Okay, and I think all of this, overall, I think this is looking pretty good. I don't see anything. I think we're going to punch this just a little bit. And I think we're going to punch this just a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at that. And I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty decent. Let's check somewhere down the road here and see when he's talking, did it change much? You can see as he moves around, things change a little bit. The exposures are good. I think he's talking for the rest. So let's take that back down for these. Yeah, that's better. And now let's grab the rest of these, which I think is just here. And let's process these. And here. Now typically you can see his hand moving there, and that's okay. Typically I wouldn't deliver this many images. Number one, it's a new client. Number two, you don't know exactly what they want. They had a really good idea of what they were looking for, but we weren't 100% sure. That's why we shot everything vertical and horizontal, speaking and non-speaking. You know, try to give them enoug options. This way, when they see exactly what they want and to fit the different layouts that they're going to be using a small collection of these images. One, of course, being for the cover, and many others for internal double-page spread, some kind of a little collage story on this gentleman. You got to give them some options. Don't tie their hands. One thing I've noticed over 20, 21 years now is that for anyone creative, if you tie their hands too much and not give them creative flexibility, cropping options, so on, they may not use you again because you put them in a box where they can't make whatever they want to work for the layout that they've designed, and may have to totally change something. So you're best to give them flexibility. Don't crop too tight in the camera, with the exception of the vertical cover shots. There were two shots, the one speaking in front of the Capitol, vertical, and the one looking at the camera more posed here on the bridge, vertical. Those two we had to keep him in bottom camera right third for front cover layout, so one of those will make it for the front cover. Let's take a look here. So down here we've got 3 images remaining, and we're just about ready to open this back up in bridge. These look real nice. Client should be exceptionally happy. And here we go, last image. And done. So come over here, hit done. What's nice about this, it's going to make the adjustment just visually to these frames. You see it changing right now. It's writing an XMP just data file to each one. It's not technically changing this file. It just has an overlay, if you would, a data file put on top of it, so that if I open this image back up in Photoshop, it has all the original settings of which I can change, go back and change at any time. It's a great way this system works. So you can see it down here processing. It's telling you where it's at. It's got a ways to go. You can see these images right out of the camera are just under 30 megabytes a piece. So you've got 134 images at just under 30 megabytes a piece. Is almost 3.5 gigs worth of file. That's a lot of information. This computer's done with it already. So go back to here. Here's our 8-bit TIFFs. I'm going to tag that red now so I know it's working files. What I will do is now create the remainder of my folders. So they're going to get JPEG files. They're going to get web files. If I do any retouching, for me, they won't get this. It'll be PSD files. And then I'll have a folder if I'm going to upload. If I'm going to upload finals, then I will put all the finals in one folder. You can see there's a lot of redundancy going on here. So that on my FTP site, all I have to do is go to one folder, grab it, and it uploads all those images. Okay. And again, this process, everything we just did into this point, would probably take 15 or 20 minutes on a job where I wasn't consumed about slowing down or thinking about things to do a video. So let's go ahead and take a look at the files. So I'm going to open them up. I'm going to come over here and drag this back down. And what I'd like to do is I want to see these two windows right here, okay, and these two with the image. And I'm going to go through and just double check, and here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking at the pixels, the megabytes, the 300 BPI, and the top of the IPTC core. And I'm going to go through and quickly look and make sure everything is reading about the same. Okay, without shouldn't be minimal changes, if any. Okay, and I'm going to go through the whole photo shoot, and I'm just going to make sure that something didn't goof up. This 15 or 20 seconds could save you a job or a whole lot of headache or hassle down the road. to make sure that everything went through. It is electronics. I saw a car back there, right there. Okay, on a great frame. Okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a look at that. I think that might be the only car I captured, I hope. Okay, good. Okay, it is. Okay, those all look nice. So we can scroll back up. Very nice collection of images. And now what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and open this one file. We will create an action. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, you could go up to Windows, Actions. There's your shortcut. It's also over to the right. Go over here to New Actions. It's also down. Get out there. Here. Okay, create. Once you get it open, create new action. So let's create a new action. And let's go TIFF to JPEG and hit record. And all we're going to do is now we're not going to change anything. We're going to save these, and we will go back to the main folder, which is here. Let's see, where did we go? Right here. Let's grab the JPEG folder. We're not changing the file names. You see I haven't named them. If you were going to name them, you should have named them back at the raw images so that the file numbers don't change from the raw numbers. So we don't want to change it now. Okay, hit OK, maximum 12, OK. So it saved it, that's done. We hit close and stop action, and here's your TIFF to JPEG action. Let's grab bridge, select all the images, unselect that one. The first image is 8911. Go to Tools, Photoshop, Batch. Come over here, 8911. I make sure it's already pre-selected for Windows. Make sure if you're working with TIFF files that you select compatibility for Mac OS. So default actions, it's choosing the TIFF to JPEG. The source, it's coming from Bridge, and we have to select the folder now of where it's going to go to. Okay, so we'll scroll down until we see SAT convention, choose JPEG, hit OK, and roll. It will now roll through all 133 images now and make JPEG files out of all of them. And again, if you have a fairly new computer or beefed up enough, it'll roll through these images rather fast, but you could walk away at this time and be done. You could walk away and go do something else if it was a little slow. This computer should take 134 TIFF files and should do it in just a couple of minutes. And so you can see now is a good time to kind of check your images and see. Oh, excuse me. I'm not bored, just tired. Okay. So I'm working through the images. I mean, I most certainly have my favorites and my not so favorites, but I'd rather give them too many at this point on a first job with this magazine than not enough. Okay. In the end, I don't know that I'll give them these food shots, but I took them and I told them I took them, and you never know, they might want something in there. That burger sure looks awful good, doesn't it? Okay. That's looking pretty good. So we're coming up on there. So I think the main things to think about when you're thinking about workflow, I think the first selection should be rough on most jobs. Go through and just select the absolutes that are for sure usable, even if they're not the perfect usable one. And then go through and select those images, copy those into a folder, something called like best or something, I think that's a good option, best. Um, then you're working from just a folder of images are at least all usable. You're not looking at the other images. You're not second guessing, going back to images that are not perfect. Don't look at images that have something you have to fix as a whole, because it's just more work, which means more time, more everything, less money. You've got to work harder and you make less money. So just show the best of the best. And then once you have the best folder done, you could go through there and narrow it down once you're looking at the images in Bridge or whatever you're using, so that you can see them big and make a final selection of what your absolute best are, and then just process those. I happen to give clients a little more than normal, and so I give them generally anything that's usable, especially a magazine. You never know exactly what they're looking for. It may be just a look, just a head position, just something you just don't know. So you like to give them quite a few options. Then once you're done, you ought to be able to roll through those images rather fast. If you're working on a event or something, well, okay, your exposures are probably all over the place. But as you can see, when I was set up, I have good chunks of images that are identical in exposure and composition. Definitely makes things a lot easier, a little faster, and less fluctuation from image to image. So that part's a little bit easier. Having said that, you can see we're probably maybe 2/3 of the way through here, and even with a real beefed up computer, it still takes a few minutes to do things. Uh, if you're not careful on your workflow, you'll be all over the place and things will take 10 times too long, and it'll end up not being, or at least not feeling, worth it, because you spent so much time working on a job and there's only so much profit in it. So having said that, it's best to get your workflow down to something efficient, have some standards, and start there, and adjust per job. Every job is different. Two jobs are the same, and but at least if you have kind of a standard starting point and a standard way of working through your workflow, it will begin to expedite things for you, so it's not as painful and you can make more money by virtue of working less hours. So it looks like we're just about done now. Let's take a look. This is also a good reflection time to kind of go over the whole collection of images as I'm watching now, and make sure that you have a good feel over the whole thing. Nice collection, nice set. They're going to be real happy with these. We did a real nice job for them, and we've got a good collection with lots of options. Okay, and it's just about done right now. A couple more minutes. These images were shot with the new or somewhat new Canon 5D Mark III. With the 24, most of them shot with the 24-105L f4 lens, which is perfect for this kind of work. It's also perfect for the video stuff that camera can shoot. Also a good lens for that as well. But good all-purpose lens, a little bit of wide to a little bit of zoom. You can see we're done. And okay, so I'm going to guess that took 3 or 4 minutes. That's not bad concerning how many images there are. So let's go to the JPEGs now. And for the web images, I don't leave them high resolution. There's no need to, full frame high resolution. So right now you've got, let's take a look here. You've got horizontal or vertical and horizontal images. They're separated over here. If I hit landscape, it's going to put all the horizontal images together, which is what you want. So let's open one horizontal image. We'll create 2 more actions from the JPEGs. It'll go real fast now. So here we go. We're going to create another action, and this time we're going to call this JPEG to web. Okay. And I'm going to go up here to image size, and you can see out of the camera these things are about 13 by 20. They don't need to be that big. 8 by 12 is perfect. So in the longest pixel or inch dimension, okay, you see inches are here and not pixels. I'm going to put 12. It inherently checks 8 because I have resampling, and bicubic sharper for reductions what you want. Hit OK. I'll check it at actual pixels. Okay, it's fine. And let's bring it back down to its actual size, which is there. That's a nice web size. And let's make sure, did I? Okay, I'll tell you what I did. Let's make sure. I'm going to close this action because as I'm talking, I see. No, I'm going to stop this action. We'll start a new one. Call it the same thing. JPEG to web. I probably did it, but let's make sure I did it. Oh, my bad. Look what I did again. Okay, let's go back to bridge. That happens when you talk too much. Okay, let's open that image again. There's that original image. Now let's go back in. We'll get rid of those dead actions in a minute. Oops, and we'll go to JPEG to web. I need to make sure I put the DPI at the right thing, and I don't know that I did. Okay, come back up here, 12, changes it to 8 by 12, 100. Thank you. I don't think I did that. Bicubic sharper, and hit OK. There we go. And 100% is the actual web size. I knew that caught me off guard. Okay, now I'm going to hit File, Save As. We're going to go back into the main folder. There's a couple of ways you can get back in there, but we'll just do it the slow way for now. And back into its folder, web, save, 12 maximum, done, close, stop. Okay, now we can go back in here, and it's going to do it fast. So now we still have selected just the landscape photos. Hit Control A, undo that one. 8949 is the number. Tools, Photoshop, batch. All this should be the same. There's JPEG to web. 8949, still have Mac OS and Windows checked. Make sure we change the folder to web, which is there and there. Hit OK. And now the files are much smaller. It should wrap through these really fast. You can see it's much faster than working with the almost 30 megabyte TIFF files, uncompressed TIFF files. It's doing a rather good job and rather fast. So again, instead of maybe 4 minutes, it might take a minute, maybe a minute and a half to roll through these images, if that. There's a lot of redundancy going on. After I shot the job, I came back to the office, I downloaded the images, I backed it up in duplicates before I did anything. So my general workflow is that I have them downloaded in a named folder on my desktop while I'm working on the job. I'm instantly backing it up on an internal drive and an additional external drive. And when I am finished working, and I'm working again actively on the desktop folder job, then I will get rid of it off the desktop because eventually it may slow your computer down. And then I just back up the additions. It does an auto backup, and you back up any kind of changes or additions that you made. And when you're all said and done, they either get uploaded to an FTP site for delivery to your client. If it's a big job, it may get delivered via a hard drive or a disk. We don't use a lot of disks anymore. It's usually hard drive or mainly FTP site. But you at least have it backed up, both original and all work done in 2 backups minimum is wise. So. And that's normal. You can see we're almost done. We're already at the bridge photo. When you're working from the JPEG size and format to the web one, it's a whole lot faster. And here we go. Almost finished. And almost done. So it's a long process. And here we are, almost 30 minutes into this video, and it definitely can be a little dry, but very important. And after a lot of years of doing this, the redundancy is critical. going back and fixing mistakes or going back and correcting something that's not been done redundantly or in a standard workflow, something you do all the time, a standard process of doing things, you're going to end up with more mistakes. So, okay, so we have a total of 74 images selected. Let's go into the web file. Let's just make sure everything's there. 74, same thing. Okay. And again, all of that's looking fine. I'm going to go through and at least check down the main to make sure they should all be at 100 ppi. They should all be 800 by 1200 pixels, all under a megabyte. And they are. And everything's done. Okay. So now you see we have our 3 files that are red, that are all of our final images. And the only thing I didn't do here is change those back. That was just for my own madness of method or whatever you want to call it. I didn't go back and check. I'm just going to go down this whole row and look at the whole thing. They should all be the same pixel dimension, somewhere between 11 and 14 and 300 dpi, and they are. Okay, good. All right, having said that, that would be done. So what I would do is minimize here. I'm going to go to my folders and let's take a look here. Let's see where we're at here. This is where my Mac ends up being a little bit faster, using hot corners, a little bit easier. So you can see here I've got an internal 2 terabyte file, an external, and I guess that one's a terabyte file. What is that one? And so here's our internal. It's under photo main. It's already backed up. So I'm going to, with one exception, I see I spelled bureau wrong, and that is going to be EAU. Okay. Open there. Our captures are all here. So having said that, we're going to grab our 8-bit TIFF, our best, our JPEG, and our web. We're just going to click and drag it over to the internal, and it's going to copy 13.5 gigs. But because it's a internal SATA drive, it's really fast. You can see there it says 60 seconds. That's really fast for 13.5 gigs worth of information. It won't be quite as fast on the external. However, the external is a USB 3. I believe that particular drive is, and should still do it fairly fast. Okay, so that's almost done. Again, we're now 33 minutes. Pete's Coffee, if you're a caffeine addict, such as myself. And we're almost done. What I will do, and I'll not do it on this video, is this particular job will get delivered via a little portable hard drive, such as, let's see, well, I'll have to grab it. It's in the computer case. A little tiny portable hard drive, USB 3 hard drive that's in a little case with its special cord, and that'll get delivered to the client. So as soon as this is done backing up, which is in just a matter of seconds, we'll go ahead and end this video. And I do appreciate you watching. This is new for what I'm doing. All of these free online little tutorials on photography, Photoshop, workflow, retouching, color management. These are the kinds of things that I'm going to be covering and have been covering, and all available at no cost to you. So please stay tuned, like me on YouTube and Facebook and anywhere else that you can like me, and that'd be great. Appreciate your time. We're down to about 10 seconds, and this is going to be finished. And here we go. Thank you again, and please stay tuned for more. It's done. You can see what I'm using here, by the way, and I'm going to